as an NFL head coach?
I didn't think I called a particularly great game. I could have adjusted a little bit better to the lack of pressure that Flo was giving us. And so I can do a better job there. And then at the end of the game, felt like we could kick it out of the back. We weren't able to get that done. In hindsight, I should have kicked it out of bounds.
Training camp, OTAs, preseason, week one. He's holding himself and Caleb Williams accountable. Best bosses I've ever had do the same thing. I always tell my boss, bark at me. Just upset, tell me. I'll figure it out. Remember Matt Eberflus? They lost the Hail Mary game, gave up all those free yards before the Hail Mary. He was questioned. Nothing to see here. It is just no big deal. It's a big deal. It was a big deal. A lot of things were a big deal. And it was always Mike McDaniel ice cream for breakfast. Mike McDaniel, Miami, players stroll in late. Tyreek Hill criticizes his quarterback publicly. In camp, remember this year in camp? When teams practiced against those joint practices, practiced against the Dolphins. And I forget the team, but one of the players in the team said, yeah, they don't practice like us. Miami doesn't practice nearly as hard as us. Standards, excuses, not holding people accountable. Sean McVay admits now with the Rams, he had to lighten up. He was so harsh and intense. Tom Coughlin lightened up and then beat Brady and Belichick twice in Super Bowls. If you look at Coughlin and Sean McVay, their resumes are filled with accountability to themselves and others. It's one of my knocks on Mike Tomlin. He's two-player friendly. It I mean, and again, I don't expect my coaches to be perfect, right? We're all on our couch watching. You know, when you're in a game and it's fluid and it's going fast, I was joking with the staff this morning. It's like going on a date with a beautiful, smart woman. You want to be funny but not silly, confident but not arrogant, smart but not preach. Like, you know, like it's, oh, this date's happening and she's judging me and I don't have time, and they make their mind up in 8 minutes. And it's much easier to sit and watch the date and go, boy, he's not handling it well. He's not asking her about her. He's doing too much talking.
Yeah, I appreciate the dating advice. I'll keep that in mind. But so, no, I mean, Colin's obviously absolutely positively, right? And I'm really glad that he pointed this out and highlighted this, because I talk about accountability all the time and telling the truth. And, you know, it always is so frustrating when you hear coaches, you know, essentially lie, right? Like they gaslight us all, especially because we have the benefit now of being exposed to so many different opinions at the same time, which can help and hurt. But like, we know full well that that ball needed to either go out of bounds, and if you can't do it, or, you know, go into the back of the end zone, and if you can't do it, then you kick it out of bounds. I talked about that immediately, right? As soon as the game ended, or, you know, as soon as my first clip about this game came out. That's what I said. And now, once upon a time when you didn't have access to kind of all these views, and to have everyone kind of start to say this at the same time, and you really feel it through social media, through YouTube, through, you know, just these shows that have so much more access, and we have so much more access to them. Like you have this group think where it's just like it's harder to hide. In like the 80s and 90s, it was like someone wrote in a newspaper, Ben Johnson should have kicked the ball out of bounds, and you have to like read it real small in the newspaper, and it was just like, you know, it's just a lot easier for you just to be like, well, that's your opinion, for Raider man. And it's like, well, now we can see that it's the opinion of literally millions of people's, hundreds of shows on TV, YouTube, everywhere. And so it's just like, we all become smarter as fans, honestly. And yet people will still try to gaslight us and just lie. And we saw this recently with Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, with his failure to call timeouts in that one game. And he was all chippy and was like, this was actually the right thing to do. And it was like, no, it's not. It was not. And we've seen Eberflus, we've seen Dan Campbell, and I like Dan Campbell. But we've seen coaches always try to put blame elsewhere, or be like, no, you know what? This is the play that I called, and I think it was the right one. And, you know, that's what we do. And it was just like, no, I don't know about that. You know, like there was just I've seen Raheem Morris do it. I mean, I can go on. I can go through all the coaches that pretty much just like essentially like no, like this is what we should have done here, and that's why we did it. And it's just like, dude, like no, it was clearly the wrong decision, or it was clearly not right. Now I don't know if he was. I think sometimes though you also have to take it with a grain of salt, because sometimes, and this is what a good coach does, like they do fall on the sword and they will say like, you know, at least publicly, like, ah yeah, you know, like I need to be better. And it's like Ben Johnson wasn't the problem in this game. Yeah, there was a few mistakes here that he made that I highlighted before, but like I'm not going to be like, "Ah, yeah, his play calling wasn't, you know, he needed to be better from a play calling perspective." It's like uh I mean, maybe I guess, but he consistently throughout that game gave Caleb Williams layups here, and Caleb Williams did not hit them. I mean, he was scripting beautiful plays, both actual on the script and then script as in just in terms of, you know, just the play itself. I mean, so like I I think Ben Johnson was actually really organized, but what he needed to figure out was, oh, my quarterback's not doing exactly what I need him to do. I'm not necessarily really used to this, and now I kind of have to figure this out. I have to find my way through that. And that's going to be newer for Ben Johnson for sure. And this is what I've always talked about. There's a difference between coaching a seasoned veteran and a young player who needs legitimate development. You're speaking different languages. You're speaking different languages. It's why Kevin O'Connell can have fast success with the Sam Darnold. Yes, Sam Darnold is not this elite, otherworldly league quarterback, but at the time he's a seasoned veteran and can run an offense. And so it's a lot easier to coach that than someone who's in their first or second year in the NFL with more talent, just the way it works. And so now this is something that Ben Johnson is now going to have to explore and figure out with Caleb Williams. And so I really do love the accountability. I it's like it's something that always speaks to me, especially when it's authentic, when it actually feels authentic, and it does allow you now to be a better leader, to be a better coach, to be able to call other players out. And other players now don't take it as personally. And same thing, because make no mistake about it, Ben Johnson also has to coach other coaches, and it makes it easier for that communication. I know this with my niece. It's like when, you know, my niece and nephews, like when I make a mistake and I apologize or mess up or, you know, do something that I shouldn't do, and I admit that to them, because at first, if for anyone who's ever, you know, been involved with kids, whether it's your kids or, you know, whatever, there is this feeling of like you needing to like be like perfect. You're the adult, and like you should know everything and this and that, and you should always maintain, always be cool, always be light and having fun and smiley. But like, you know, it's like you want to be like, especially if you're an uncle, right? Like you want to be like kind of like perfect in that regard. And then when you spend enough time with them, you realize like they're going to see me at moments when I'm not perfect. You know, if I'm going to hang out with them and be a big part of their life, like they're going to see moments when I'm not perfect, because I'm not a perfect person. And so being able to apologize for that leaves the door open for them to apologize, for them to learn and grow. You know, I remember one of the first times my niece came to me and was like, "I'm sorry, I was a little cranky, earlier today or so." And it was just like I can't believe it. Like you acted that you weren't being your best, and you apologized unprovoked by me or unprovoked by anyone. No one said you better go apologize. And it's just like those things are awesome. That's like accountability. That is the power of accountability, to constantly this self-reflection of, what do I need to do to be better? What do I need to do to be better? Um, and I remember when I was working at a drug and alcohol men's inpatient rehab facility, which is just a battle, man, every single day. And I did not have good supervisors, straight up. And it was brutal and it was awful. And when I was leaving, when I was leaving, we kind of had like our exit interviews, and we were talking. I talked to my main supervisor, and I straight up told him, I was like, if you want this place to be better, you have to be better. You have to take more accountability. You have to do more here. You complain a lot about all the issues that we have. It's like you're the one in charge. If you think other people are going to magically be able to do it, it's not going to happen, man. It's the definition of insanity. It's like you're going to have to step up. And if you don't want to step up and put this place on your back, well, then it's just like, then this is just what it's going to be. This is just the way it works. And he respected it. He acknowledged it and was like, yeah, I know. And like we were able to have a different level of a conversation because I was no longer his employee. I was leaving. I was like, I'm out here, bro. I'm not doing this anymore. This is a sinking ship unless you fix it. And you know, that accountability is huge. And you get that tremendously in sports. You really do. I remember also when I was in LA, actually, when I lived in like San Diego, LA area, um, I did like sketch and improv, and you're on a team essentially. At least for me, that's how I viewed it. And you have to tiptoe around so much in that level of community. It's just crazy to me. There was a time when I was like, "Oh, that was a really funny scene. Um, like you're really good at that. Like you should do more of that." Or, "You know what? Like I don't know if that really worked. Like maybe we should try something different." And I remember someone who's, you know, been in that scene from the jump, and he was just like, "You know, you talk like someone that's like not really, you know, that wasn't really like trained here." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And he's like, Most people just like aren't that outspoken like that, you know?" He's like, "It's actually like not proper etiquette in like the acting and theater community." And I was like, "That's the dumbest thing ever." I was just like this. I I take a sports mentality. I was like, if I'm even just playing pickup ball with my friends outside, if someone keeps shooting bad shots, we yell at him and say, "Stop shooting. What are you doing? Pass the ball." There's no tiptoeing around this. And I saw an interview with Matt Damon. He was talking about when he works with, you know, actors who are actually his friends, specifically Ben Affleck. He's like, you know, other directors are always like, "That was a good take, but like I think maybe your character is uh a little happier in this moment." And that's their way of saying, "You did it wrong. I need you to be happier in this take." And he's like, when I work with like Ben Affleck, and you know, when we and Ben work with each other, we're just like, "That was a bad take. Do it again. Do this." And he's like, "Okay, great." And he's like, everyone else kind of tiptoes around it. And it's just like when everyone just has the accountability and is less sensitive, now you can have really open and honest conversations about what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, what you're doing great, and what you're doing not so great. And I've always felt that way in my life. Like it's very comfortable for me to talk about the things that I do great, but also talk about the things that I do bad. And it's not one-sided. If I ever compliment myself or feel good about myself, it's often followed by a string of things that I do poorly. And that's because from the jump, I'd been so coached so hard growing up that it's just like I've been told a lot all the things that I do great and all the things that I'm doing wrong, right? It's like 1 minute coach is saying, "Wow, look at him. Look what he's doing, singling me out. He's awesome. He's doing great. Be more like him." And then the next practice, it's like, "Are you serious? Look what he's doing. Go run laps. Go run sprints. Look what he's doing. Guys, don't do this." And it's just like, whoa, talk about a whirlwind. And when you have that accountability, when you have that honesty, when you have that that room of freedom to be able to just be authentic, it matters. And it does start with the coach. And if the coach is not taking accountability, why would any player want to take accountability? Or nothing's more obnoxious when the coach is constantly just trying to put all the accountability on the players. Like that is a tough place to be in, right? It's like being with a parent who just always wants to blame anyone who's got elderly parents who maybe still experience this. Like the parents still just want to blame you, no matter what, no matter how old, no matter how mature you get. Anything that ever goes wrong, it's always like, well, it's because of you, you know? It's like, yep, they still treat you like a little kid. And it can be it could be a tough existence. So I'm going on this like long rant here because like this matters so much. Ben Johnson is somehow such a new school and an old school coach, and that's awesome. That's when I first saw him address the like the organization. So it was like the staff there. I did a video about it and I said, Ben Johnson is gonna work, man. I was like watching that clip of him addressing everyone. I was like, he was authentic, he was real, he was he was talking to people. Yeah, He was talking to people who were clearly beneath him in terms of power, and yet he was treating them with respect and was just like locked into them. And he understands the assignment. He understands what it takes to be great. And again, it's authentic. And I can't express this enough. Authenticity matters. And this organization will very much be keep up or get left behind. Keep up or get left behind. With Ben Johnson running this team, it feels very much like early stages of the Golden State Warriors. Now you got to find your Steph Curry, you got to find your Klay Thompson, you got to find your Draymond Green. But it's just like it's keep up or get left behind. So I can't tell you that the Chicago Bears are going to be great with Caleb Williams and the way this team looks like right now. You know, I have no degree of confidence or lack of confidence for that matter. But I am incredibly confident that as long as you give it time and you make good decisions, you draft well, free agency, Ben Johnson will lead the Chicago Bears to greatness. Just a matter of when, not if. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears? Do you like Ben taking accountability for the decision? I don't even know how that's even a question there. As you see, it's written at the bottom like it's, what do you want him to say? Number. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.